very strange when I would hear Joe Rogan use the word and other people use the word and Chael Sonnen. I found it very strange because we never heard that word prescribed to Muhammad Ali, Floyd Mayweather, George Foreman, Mike Tyson. When they talk about the white guys, they would use the word warrior. Now that was something that stuck out to me from the very beginning. With these white dudes, they were talking about them. They would use this word warrior. He's a warrior, this, that, and the other. This guy's a warrior. I had never heard that word used to reference a black athlete in fighting sports before. Never heard that word used. Never heard that one used. I heard other words used. Conquerors, kings. Never heard warrior used. And when I heard that, my ears went up. Because I'm like, okay, that's programming. When you introduce a new term into a very well-established lexicon in an area where it's never been used like that before, that's programming. You're trying to communicate something specifically beyond the confines of the context of whatever this program is that they're, or this event that they're participating in, that there's a greater, bigger societal context. Root word of warrior is war. And what is the war we're talking about here? It's in the mind.
Right.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Yes, it's about cultivating them, saying that, yeah, you're going to have to start developing your war skills on that. Let me get caller from area code 904. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Sean, and I'm calling from Jacksonville, Florida.
Sean from Jacksonville. What's on your mind?
Real quick. I just asked myself a basic question: Who does high crime benefit most? And the answer is simple: law enforcement. And I thought, what would happen if law enforcement really just quit doing their job? We'd have a scenario like the Purge. And another quick thing, at work I noticed that a lot of alcohol, peroxide, and witch hazel was leaving the warehouse. And it dawned on me, whoa, what if we was in a situation where we couldn't get antiseptic and bandages? Something to think about. Black first.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 510. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good evening, Mr. Jason Black. It's Black Voltron calling out of West Oakland, California.
Black Voltron out of Oakland. What's on your mind?
Well, today, we're just seeing just the latest examples of these white supremacists actually targeting soft targets. I think everybody here should be extremely pissed the fuck off and should take that angry energy that we've all generated, seeing those babies getting run over like goddamn bowling pins. And we should be everybody within the sound of our voice should be preparing. All right, you should be so fucking pissed off that you should be getting your emergency supplies right now. You should be getting your self-defense supplies right now. You should be practicing getting yourself in shape. And one thing, unfortunately, that I've noticed is, within the last 50 years, if we look at it from a historical perspective, we got to remember something, man. Say in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even up into the 90s, 2000s, black folks used to box like it's going out of style, in addition to martial arts clubs like from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, kung fu and karate centers and stuff like that. It was filled with black people, due to the kung fu era and kung fu movies and stuff like that, like Wu-Tang and all them. But, recently with the advent of the, newer generation, nobody boxes anymore. Can't fight in the schools like we used to when we were older. So how do you practice those skills? A lot of boxing gyms have been shut down. So
that's a very good point that you make. That's a very good point that you make, because what they've done with the black children is they've criminalized that. If the black children get into a fight, they're sitting up here arresting them. Kyle Rittenhouse, on the other hand, can sit up here and start jumping on girls at the school and no arrests, no anything. Got it on video and nobody said a word about it. So that makes it very, very clear what the message is they're trying to send. There's a certain segment of the society that they are trying to gear them up to be ultra aggressive, which means when you gear somebody up to be ultra aggressive, you're going to send them against somebody because you don't just do it to be doing it. And then there's the other aspect, other faction of the society that they are trying to make as docile and as compliant as possible. Enter Lil Nas X and Skinny Jeans.
There we go.
I mean, think about that for a few moments. For the white males, they are promoting them being ultra violent and ultra aggressive. And for the black males, they are promoting them being the prison wives. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, it's not really too hard to change this actual culture. In spite of everything that my daughter's grown up, since 2000, I trained her like I was raised. I'll be damned if you don't have some goddamn school bully slap you upside the head, whoop your ass, and you're gonna come back to me crying and be a little punk. I said, no, I'm gonna teach you how to fight, pretty girl, and you gonna go back and whoop her goddamn ass, and you better win, you hear me? And we did just that. She learned how to fight. Now I'm in the process of training her with firearms. She's doing her martial arts, she's doing her self-defense and everything else. She's prepared on non-lethal level. Now I'm training her on the lethal level. It's up to every black person, every black parent to train your sons and your daughters in the ways for them to defend ourselves. We are at war, people. Well, I mean, you had 5, 6 babies get purposely run over by that white supremacist. You gonna sit up here and take it and be some punks and just get exterminated, or you gonna fight back? Because we're up against the wall. We're at Panther levels now. This is why the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense was created. We are being systematically exterminated. Either we gonna be exterminated softly and then eventually hardly, or we gonna fight back. What are you gonna do? For me and my family, we're gonna fight to the bitter end. I'll be damned if I'm going to go extinct. My legacy's going to live on. Be one to the fullest. I appreciate you, Jason, and keep up the fight, brother.
Black first, brother.
Happy New Year.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 929. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good evening, Jason. My name is Daryl, calling from Chicago.
Daryl from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Jason, again, you've been on point with everything that you have said, and God bless you for doing just bringing that black media attention to things to this and making people really aware of everything. And again, Black Voltron said something just now that made a lot of sense. I teach my children, my nephews, my nieces, not just martial arts. Me and my brother, my dad, God bless my dad. He showed us. He said, "Son, it's nice for you to have education, but you need to know how to fight too, because you're gonna be in a battle every day for the rest of your life. You wasn't lying." And I'm teaching my daughters how to do that, and they're older now, but they even took that up. My nephews as well, even though everybody's got good jobs or in business for themselves, we try to do that. But the consciousness, they listen to you a lot to get them. They got their friends listening to you. In this situation, yes, they're gearing up for something. Anytime you train somebody with the situation that's happening, you're going to take it to another level, and another level every time. That's all I have to say. Happy New Year to you, Jason. Be one.
Black first, brother. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 214. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Ty Davis. Can you hear me?
Yes. Where are you calling from?
Yes. I'm calling from Dallas, Texas, and I have a bit of disagreement with you. I don't think black people should be involved when white people are killing each other. You mentioned Charlottesville and the Kyle Rittenhouse. So when you see white people fighting each other, I'm just trying to understand, why are you getting African Americans involved? Are you trying to get us to be warriors for the white liberals against their enemies? Because I don't see any other race involving their race in any conflicts when white people fight each other. But I'm just trying to understand why you're involving black people in this. Okay, so after the music played, can you answer my question? Why are you involving black people into these white conflicts?
Okay. Did you listen to the entire beginning of the program?
Yes. And
I literally spent the
Rittenhouse.
entire beginning of the program explaining exactly what the connection to black people was. So what you're saying is that after a 45-minute exegesis, you still don't get it. So why would I continue explaining when very clearly it flew over your head like a spitball over a 5th grade classroom? Why would we wait?
Jason.
Why would what you'll have to do right now, and I'll give you 10 seconds to convince me why we should waste any more time with an ADHD student on the phone who very just clearly doesn't get it. I'm not here to help you with your lack of comprehension. It was explained in childlike English, and your intellect is clearly too low to be able to get that. So it's already been explained.
Okay,
if you still don't get it,
I'm using logic here, Jason. The media is not controlled by black people. So if white media is angry and upset about Kyle Rittenhouse, what interest does it have with black people?
The white media is not upset and angry about it. That was the problem.
Do you not watch
They were
CNN?
not.
Do you not watch MSNBC? Are you not listening to the white liberal media talking about white supremacy when white people die?
Caller from area code 703. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike from Alexandria.
Mike from Alexandria. What's on your mind?
I didn't want to harp too much on the combat sports because I know we've had previous callers talk about it, but I just wanted to say I feel like even the interest in MMA is a counter to what our dominance in boxing, because the big aspect of MMA is how you could take people to the ground and disarm them. So I did think it is important to note that. That's all I got to say.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here. Let me get caller from area code 318. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Jason, this is AJ Mack from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Can you hear me?
AJ from Baton Rouge, what's on your mind?
When I was about 6 years old, that was the first time my father put a pair of boxing gloves on me, and I also got some mixed martial arts training. I made sure I did the same thing with my son. We have, I used to live in Shreveport, by the way. But anyhow, it amazes me how black people in the South, we have places to hunt, we have family in the country, but we don't take advantage of those opportunities. We don't teach our children what they need to know until it's a situation like where, the possibility of civil unrest was looming during the lockdowns. People thought I was crazy for stocking up on food, stocking up on weapons. What you got all them guns for? What you got all them guns for? Until it's like, okay, hey, you might not be able to go out and get food. Now what you gonna do? Or how about after Hurricane Katrina, when you had vigilante white people killing black folks in Algiers? The most important thing about combat sports, it gives a young man the opportunity to be across the ring from another young man. And when that bell rings, mama can't.
I need you to hit the like button so it can register on YouTube algorithm. And again, if you enjoy this free content, this free information, and you leave here smarter, which is my intention, then go ahead and hit the like button.
Save you. Daddy can't save you. You learn to do what you need to do. I try to encourage kids to get involved and try to get their parents to get them involved in these types of things, but for whatever reason, they're not interested. I don't know what it's going to take to wake our people up. It's like
an ever-present threat is what it will take. Black people have been conditioned to attempt to lull themselves to sleep at the first opportunity. So, in other words, I said this after Zimmerman, it's going to take a constant state of threat and a constant state of hostilities, because if you ease up on the pressure an inch, black folk are going to try to roll back over and go back to sleep. If you do not keep the pressure on, that's the bad news. The good news is they are completely the dominant society is completely committed to turn up the pressure. So it is what it is. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 828. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason, can you hear me?
Okay, I don't know why you all keep saying, can we hear you? Yes, you can be heard.
So sorry about that, Jason. This is Aaron, man. I'm calling from out of North Carolina.
Okay.
North Carolina.
Negroes are paranoid tonight. What's on your mind, Aaron?
I just wanted to say, man, I definitely see the trends that's going on. I live in a small town in North Carolina where right now they're starting to put up different types of skull and crossbone flags everywhere. Especially in this part of North Carolina, we deal with a lot of far-right groups. And, as a result of that, I came up with a group called the 828 Racist Directory where we ID these white supremacists and, we try to get them fired from their jobs. So I definitely see the different types of shifts that they're going to as far as militarizing themselves. And, what we're doing here on this part of the Western North Carolina is, we're having to ID these guys because they try to hide, under, anonymity. So we definitely try to do our best, but,
the folks who defend them are also going to be the ones that you can see. So beyond just locating individual white supremacists, the real thing is going after the bigger apparatus that defends them, your judges, your prosecutors, your bankers, because once you've identified them, what you really got to do is kick the legs out from under them. And the foundation of white supremacy is its economy, and everything else goes on top of that. So once you identify them, you start running up the flagpole, because what usually happens, smart folk, when they identify them, they're like, okay, where do they work? Who do they work for? If they're self-employed, who are they working with? So there's the real thing, is once you find them, you take it up the flagpole so that now these institutions have to become more vigilant. These institutions start taking up the work for you, and they become hyper vigilant about shutting that down. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 917. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Ray Rock from Brooklyn, New York, sir. Thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to make a quick note with this last dude calling, talking about how we shouldn't involve ourselves with white crime. First of all, they're only doing this to get to us first, okay? You don't realize this? They have no value for each other. So they're only doing this to get to us next, okay? And just like our brother, Professor Black Truth, power tools. And let's stay on that. Let's do this mentally and physically. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much for taking my call, brother. I love my family. I love y'all.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 720. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good evening, Jason. Happy New Year. This is brother Jesse out of Denver, Colorado.
Jesse out of Denver, what's on your mind?
Oh, man, the white supremacists are on code, man. But you just profiled the dude that just shot up the people here in Denver. He was shooting white people that were off code. So just the Rittenhouse Effect, like you said, ever since Carl Rittenhouse got away with self-defense, the white supremacists have gone out their way to show that they can get away with it. He was shot and killed, so he wasn't able to necessarily get away with it. But
let me find out something here. You're in that Denver area, so I mean, whether you're talking about Columbine, whether you're talking about what's his name, James, who shot up the movie theater in Aurora, and that Denver Aurora area. Every time we turn around, it's mass shootings by these individuals there. So are the people there starting to have a conversation with themselves about, okay, why does this keep happening here? What is it about us that this kind of specific event keeps happening here? Are they having that conversation out there in Denver right now?
To be honest with you, Jason, everybody's sedated by the weed. Everybody's so high that they're not even focused on what's going on. There's only a few of us out here that are focused on these white supremacists and what they're up to.
Well, you know what? I don't even mean black people in particular, though. I don't mean black people in particular. I'm talking about in Denver, period? You know, are the media and the people in Denver, are they starting to have a conversation about why this keeps occurring?
Well, they're talking about gun control and keeping guns out of white supremacists' hands. They're talking about passing legislation at the state house and at the local level to deal with these white supremacists, to keep these guns out of their hands. But as far as actually dealing with the white supremacists, no.
Because, I mean, the bigger question here, a sensible person would be asking, okay, do you realize how many massacres we have had here? What is it about us and the way we're doing things that is attracting or cultivating specifically this kind of environment? If this guy came up there from Texas, it's like, okay, what is it about us that attracts this kind of thing to where we are? Thank you very much for giving us a call. Now, let me get a call from area code 954. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
How you doing, Brother Jason? This is Brother Marcellus from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
All right, Marcellus from Fort Lauderdale. What's on your mind?
You know, another great episode. I want to congratulate you and the new black media. I'm so glad that you and others are talking about the situation that happened in Wilton Manors, because I actually live not that far from Wilton Manors. And something that a lot of people are not talking about is Wilton Manors is a predominantly gay community. So the likelihood of that white supremacist also being LGBT is very, very high, and nobody wants to talk about that. I just thought you should know that. Love your work. Be one.
Now, I think that's a very interesting discussion here as well, because the first thing that people would try to tell you is, you know, he's got a kid, he was had an incident with his girlfriend. So that would be the first thing that people were trying to tell you there. But certainly I think that might be something worth investigating and looking into more there as well, because as black people are concerned, I think it's an interesting question to be investigated. I really do think that it is. That's something that I think folks should maybe think a little bit more of. Now, the media is not going to do that. So let's just be very, very clear. They're not going to do that because they want to put a nice little bow on it, and law enforcement certainly isn't. But I think that's a very good point you raise. I think that's something that should be investigated. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. The media is already going, to try to paint this as, oh, take a look at his girlfriend. That's a very interesting avenue that I hadn't heard talked about before. Let me get caller from area code 767. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Dexter, phoning from Dominique in the Caribbean. Yeah, last year during the uprising, DeSantis said that he wants to bring in a law where you can just drive at such and such. So people like DeSantis, he's sending out dog whistles, and you'll have people like, who else would I say? Like those people who went for that Greshner, the Michigan. So a lot of these people, they're on code. So this wasn't really an accident. It was targeted in the one in Florida where he drove onto the pavement, onto the sidewalk, where he targeted those kids. So I think it's mainly the people at the top that are just doing it, from Fox right down to the whole lot. That's what I'm going to say.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Please do give us a call again. Let me get caller from area code 720. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Dred Scott from Denver, Colorado.
All right, Dred Scott from Denver. What's on your mind?
Oh, nothing much. I just called in because I was listening to you talk to the other caller from Colorado. And to answer a couple of your questions, no, they just bypass it on the news. They just put it up for 5 minutes, maybe 1 or 2 days, and then it's on to COVID stuff.
And that's something in particular to think about, because in this kind of situation here, you should really be introspective about it. Because I know when black folk get together in a group and there's any type of repeat behavior, hell, it doesn't even have to be repeated. If it happens just one time and it's significant enough, they're stomping in. It becomes wall-to-wall coverage. They go on a campaign about it. We've been watching them do this now for over 20 years. In one specific isolated area, this continues to happen. And yet there's not, a call to be very introspective about this and have a soul-searching session where you start trying to dig down to the bottom. Okay, why does this kind of thing keep occurring specifically here? Why? What is it about us and our culture and what we're doing that cultivates this kind of thing? Because that's what you would do.
In my opinion, it's the integration.
What do you mean?
They are all about diversity and intermingling. Like out here, like we have a small black population to begin with, so all the relationships, like with the women and the men, it's like, all right, well, you see majority of the black women go on with white men, black men go on with white women, or Mexicans, or like there's not a strong black empowerment feel here. Like,
no, I mean Denver has long been one of your, interracialist enclaves where individuals have really, engaged in that unhealthy type of interracial obsession, especially where black folk are concerned. It's a really unhealthy type. It's a really, really subservient, damn near slave play type of thing. It's just where it's become a part of a rite of passage. So Denver has always been one of those super heavy areas where that kind of thing has occurred, where males and females sit up here and brag about being pass-arounds to the dominant society. So when I see that, when you have a minority of a population that is disliked by a majority, and yet that minority of the population engages in a disproportionate level of sexual activity with that dominant society, negative adverse effects are going to be something you can predict. So because what's going to happen here is where guys with the identitarian mindset, they're not going to go at the men first. They're going to check the women first. They're going to look at them and try to get them back in line first before they do anything else. Because what he's saying is that, okay, my grip is supposed to be strong enough where this kind of thing doesn't happen. And if this kind of thing is happening, I got to put the smack down and check you first. I got to do something about you first. I got to get in there on you first if there is a problem. So I think you make a very good point in that regard. That's an avenue to it. Once again, my caller's doing great here tonight. That's an avenue that hasn't really been talked about to that degree, although I was trying to get that to that earlier tonight when I was like, okay, are these women's sexual behaviors not on code? Is this a way of, doing something about that and making it very clear, okay, if you get the women straight, everybody else falls in line. But you're absolutely right. In that Denver area, if they're not discussing this, then number one, you do it at your peril. I want black folk in particular to be very, very clear about that, because these are just the ones that make the news in that regard.
Type is the type they go for.
Well, like I say, when I say slave play, I'm serious. When they want to get a white supremacist, they get a real white supremacist. They don't play about it. They get the real damn thing is what they do. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 202. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Greg calling from D.C.
Greg from D.C., what's on your mind?
Hey, man, listen, the whole thing is that when we have eyewitnesses that just happen to be around when these type of things occur, as opposed to, you remember back when they started decoding the movies, I think back when Get Out first came out, they had this thing where we'd sit down and decode the movie and this and that. We're at the point now where we got to take these little 5, 10, and 15-second clips, and we got to read between the lines and see what the hell is happening because, like you say, they're all in cahoots together. And by this brother actually, not being an eyewitness, but giving us some information about what's happening right there in the situation. And this is what we have to rely on instead of just taking that media bullshit and running with it, man. Because they're trying to confuse us. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to say he went that way, he went that way.
They're certainly doing very good about confusing people, but remember, the most important thing about this is once it's been defined, we have to hold on to the conversations ourselves because the media isn't our friend. They're going to tell you that an event happened. All right. It's our job to put the events in their proper context. That's the real mission. Things are going to happen. They're going to continue happening. Putting it in its proper context by these conversations we're having, that's the part that's essential. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 214. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Solutions from Dallas.
Solutions from Dallas. Sounds like you're on Bluetooth or something. We're hardly hearing you.
Yes, I am. Take it on. My mistake. I'll be brief. I just wanted to, one, say that parents, when it comes to your children, training them is very important, and you can train them by just showing them the way that their enemy operates and how their enemy operates when they feel that they were wronged and how far they went. And as far as that dude from Dallas, man, if you ain't a stepper around here, you getting stepped on. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Understand something. I mean, the battle is real. They are serious about it. This is where it is. And to individuals who are confused and don't understand, that they believe that in order to have a strong white society to come at black people, you got to get everybody on code first, whether they wish to be or not. If there are any white folk who are not on code for whatever reason, whether it is submitting to their economy, submitting to their sociology, submitting to their gender strata, no matter what it is, if you are not on code, they're letting you know as the numbers dwindle, they are going to get more strident and more radical about how they're going to put everybody in line in that regard. They're not getting less strident, they're getting more so. This is the Rittenhouse Effect. They're getting more blatant. They can't afford to be subtle anymore. They're getting more blatant than they've ever been. And those signs of desperation are going to lead them to more desperate acts. This was the bellwether that started it, but it will not end here. And going into the upcoming months and years, that's what black folks should be watching for, because all of these things, to the clowns talking about why would we be concerned about what white folk are doing, because there's nothing that white people do that does not affect us. To the idiots and clowns who do not understand it, there is nothing that white people do that does not affect us. Since clearly it had to be spelled out in boxcar letters for some people, there's nothing that they do that doesn't affect us. We're going to take one more phone call here tonight. Let me get a caller from area code 720. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi.
Okay. Caller, see if you can try again here. Let's get a little bit faster on the draw here. Folks, if you're calling in, please don't be rubbing yourself down with baby oil. I know it's very tempting, but you shouldn't do that. To the folks here who ask those kind of questions, understand with the Rittenhouse Effect, that's why I start off the program here, even though it didn't help for some people. It is very important that you understand that these things don't happen in a vacuum. You don't go off and do a George Zimmerman in a vacuum. You don't do a Kyle Rittenhouse in a vacuum either. It isn't about one person, because it didn't just affect one person. It was about sending a message. Why should you be concerned about this? It involved white people. Because it was sending a message. And my ears go up when the dominant society starts sending messages. It isn't a badge of honor to sit up here and brag about how ignorant of white society's moves and white society's actions you are. That's not a badge of honor. That's not something you brag about. You don't brag about being ignorant about what they're doing. That's not what you do. That's not something for you to brag on. You're supposed to be very well aware of what they're doing. Truth be told, you should be more well aware of it than they are. That's how you prevent yourself from getting took later down the road, because you're supposed to be ahead of them. You're not supposed to be behind them. This idea that we're supposed to be reacting to what white supremacist society does, that's stupid as hell. You're not supposed to be sitting out here just endlessly reacting to whatever they do. But you can't be proactive if you're not aware of what's going on. And if you don't understand that folks are playing 4D chess and you're taking a look at it right here, it's like, oh no, they're gearing themselves up because they want to cut the fat so that they are lean and mean to come at you. So they've got elements that they see are off code. We got to get these off code elements out the way so we can go at these black folk. That's as stupid as talking about with the Civil War, with them white folks killing white folks. Man, stupid as hell. The Civil War was about who was going to enslave black people. But these clowns will tell you, well, it's white folks shooting white folks. Why should we be concerned about that? Just understand, that's the kind of guy who'll be dominated his whole life and then telling all the rest of us that the real problem is that we weren't rubbing our chakras. Let me get a caller from area code 786. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, this is John from Miami, Florida.
John from Miami, what's on your mind?
I just wanted to touch on something you said earlier about these tattoo situation, because when I was in the military, it was a big thing where all the people had to go to the auditorium, script down to their drawers, and they cut the lights off. And when you seen how many of these tattoos was glowing, it's ridiculous. So they made everybody else leave, and they kept those people there because they had some gang things going on between some white folk and I think it was a Latino, and that's how they was identifying themselves, through tattoos. So that's all I want to touch on.
Yeah, while black folk are out here getting, cat paws and Playboy bunnies tattooed on them, black folk are out here indulging in slut culture. These other people are geared up for war. And you made a very good point. It's not just Anglos that are doing that. And by the way, you'll see that with Asians also. While black folk are out here bull-jiving and playing around. But for those of us who are elite and those of us who are watching these things, we're not going to be taken by surprise. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up on tonight's program here. Brothers and sisters from around the world, one way or another, you will be moved. That is the bottom line. One way or another, you will be moved. Whether you are moved because you get out of the way of trouble or whether you are moved because you get run over by it, those are the stakes. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to tonight's program here. Andrew, Ikagus, and Mr. Battle, and everyone else who has contributed on PayPal or Cash App. Thank you very much for your support tonight. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the haven of intelligent black thought. We do this every weekend, over 131,000 subscribers and rising. We are not a little thing. Make sure that you click that red subscribe button and that yellow notification bell. YouTube does have us under a shadow ban, as always, because we are the black media, but that's quite all right. We are going to continue to rise despite their tactics here. That's how we got to where we are. So click that red subscribe button so that you can get counted amongst our numbers of subscribers. They can subdue likes, but when people can see that you got hundreds of thousands of people watching what you're doing, they take that seriously, and they should. And if you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, you want to go there and check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m. Gentrified Race War, all available on DVD, Amazon, and on streaming at blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.